What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to our YouTube page. My name is Zach, and we are here to do another rankings, this time on the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, with the DC Films franchise, whatever the fuck they're calling it now. I don't know what they're calling it, or if it's even a thing anymore. Who cares? All I know is Shazam came out a few weeks ago. I saw it, I loved it, and I wanted to include it in a new rankings video, but I'm going to keep it pretty short and sweet, so you know what? Let's just jump right into it, man. So starting off my list at number 7, dead last, is Suicide Squad, directed by David Ayer. Now, I thought this movie was completely useless, man. There was no need to make this film. This could have been another solo film for one of their other heroes, like Wonder Woman, you know, Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, I mean, any of them, but you instead take a group of B-rate superheroes that no one really knows and make a movie about it. It was the wrong move in my opinion. The film was way too convoluted. It was all over the place. There was so much going on. The story was so inconsistent and messy at times. You kind of get lost in what the fuck's going on unless you're like a true diehard Suicide Squad fan. I mean, it's just like, what the hell's going on, man? And Enchantress was terrible, fucking horrible villain, played by an even worse actress. I just did not like that villain choice. The backstory behind it was completely stupid. You know, a dumb, ditzy archaeologist stumbles upon the fucking Enchantress shit and she just opens it like a dumbass, and you know, it's just stupid, man. And it brings me to the Joker as well. I thought the Joker was the worst one we've had. I did not like Jared Leto's portrayal of the Joker. I don't want a gangster type Joker, man, walking around like he's Mr. Hot Shit. You know, I want the psychotic, deranged, mentally unstable Joker. This Joker just did not have what I was looking for. Not to mention, he was kind of just a side character in this. He really had no relevance to the story whatsoever. You know, it was just kind of like, oh, hey, here's Joker, by the way. Why didn't you make him the main villain, man? It could have been a pretty good dynamic with the inclusion of Harley Quinn already. Now, Harley Quinn is one thing I did like about this movie. I thought they hit the nail right on the head with her, because I've always been a Harley Quinn fan, you know, and that's pretty much the only thing I liked about this. You know, Will Smith was cool, but you could tell he was just there to make a paycheck. So I really can't believe we're getting a sequel. I think a sequel's even more unnecessary. This could be a perfect opportunity to give me another solo film, you know, like Green Lantern, a Flash movie. Like, where the fuck are those movies at? I don't understand why they can't do those movies, yet they're doing all these side spin-offs like Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad 2. It's like, who the fuck asked for this? So whatever, man. Let's get away from this fucking movie. I'm already tired of talking about it. All right, moving on to number 6 on my list. That is Justice League, released in 2017, directed by both Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, because this movie was just a train wreck from the start. I hated this movie. It was terrible. There's a few things I do like about this movie, like some of the Batman scenes and some of the Gordon scenes, because I'm a huge Batman fan. You know, and the rooftop scene was cool. The banter between Gordon and Batman was really good. It felt like classic Batman. And honestly, dude, I wish we would have had more. I really do. But I don't like this movie. The tone is all over the place. It's such a deviation from the previous films. And I get it. The tone for future DC movies has been a lot more lighter now, and I think it works now. But for Justice League, you're continuing on a story you started in Batman v Superman, and for the tones to be so different from each other, I think it just caused mass confusion as like, what the fuck is going on at Warner Brothers, man? And not to mention the villain was terrible. The CGI was disgusting at times, dude. There was so much orange, and especially the finale, the third act climax. I hated the Russian stuff with the Russian family. At the whole time, you're wondering, like, who the fuck is this Russian family? What relevance do they have to the scene and the movie in general? In nothing. They're just a random fucking family. So it was just way too all over the place, man. And not to mention Warner Brothers cutting the movie into 2 hours. When you have a movie like this with so much going on, you can't contain it. Don't give it a time limit. Let it run. Who cares if it's 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours? It doesn't matter. You know, so yeah, Warner Brothers just did everything wrong with this movie. I do not like it. I didn't like the Snyder-Whedon dynamic. You could tell it's two totally different directors making this movie, and it's just a jumbled mess. And I'll be honest with you, I'm actually kind of glad this movie happened, because it steered the DCEU off into a direction which I think they're doing pretty well now. So if anything, we could take that positive away from this movie. So let's move on, man. Coming in at number 5 on my list is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, directed by Zack Snyder. Now, this movie, like Justice League, was way too convoluted. It was all over the place. It was discombobulated, man. The inclusion of all the Justice League characters and hints and Easter eggs was just way too much. I fucking hate that scene where she opens the email and there's all these custom logos made. It's like, who had time to do that? This is so fucking stupid. You know, you should not have had those characters at all in this movie, man. That's what I'm saying. That's always been my argument of, dude, you should have built all these characters up first before you tried to bring them all together. You just can't do it. That's like doing a fucking Iron Man 2 movie and introducing Thor, Captain America, the Hulk, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. It's like, dude, you can't do that, man. You got to take it step by step. You know, it was ridiculous, but whatever, man. And I'll be honest with you, this movie should have been a Batman solo movie, an origin movie. I think it would have benefited more because you could have built up Batman's character and we could have eventually worked our way to Batman v Superman and then worked our way to Justice League. But, you know, I thought it was a really stupid move and a missed opportunity for Warner Brothers. I thought they rushed it. You know, it's like they were so excited about, oh man, we got to get a Batman v Superman out there. It's like, well, hold on, dude, we got to build up some stuff first. Like, no, it'll be fine, just do it. So, and this is another example of shoehorning in another villain. I thought Doomsday was stupid. They completely shoehorned him into the third act. Lex Luthor, in my opinion, he should have been the only villain in this film. There should have been some type of climax at the end where it was Batman, Superman against Lex Luthor, and that's it. That's all we need. We don't need another fucking monster, another creation, another something shoved in our face when we already have too much going on. It was just all over the place, man. But yeah, like I said, this movie was mediocre. I didn't care for it. It should have been a film that at a later date we could have built up to this movie. You know, we could have built up with these characters and invested so much more. That way, when this movie took place, the payoff would have been a lot better. But, oh, by the way, go check out the 3-hour unextended cut. It's a little bit better. All right, coming in at number 4 on my list is Aquaman, directed by James Wan, released in 2018, just last December. Now, this is another solid character-driven story. I thought this was cool. I didn't hate the movie. I didn't love the movie, though. I'm not as high on this movie as a lot of other people are. I didn't think it was as good as a lot of other people think it is. I will say I liked the detachment from the other DC Universe films. I thought it was a good move to focus on Aquaman, focus on his history, his backstory, how he became who he became, and now I'm invested going forward. You know, this is what I'm talking about, man. This is what they should have done from up front. So my only complaints with this film is the overuse of CGI. I get it. 90% of the movie takes place underwater. They have to use CGI, but still, I thought a lot of it was just too in your face. And just there's so much going on at times with the CGI and the visuals and the VFX and all the underwater battles. It was cool, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but at times it's like, you know, find ways to lessen the blow by not throwing so much. Don't bust your load all at once, man. You got to savor that shit and work it up. But the story was okay. I mean, it's just it was a little bit too much at times, just like the CGI. But it was kind of cheesy and kind of corny. But I did kind of like the lighter tone at times. It was a mixed bag for me. My biggest complaint is Black Manta. Black Manta should not have been in this movie. I didn't like that they shoehorned him in as a secondary villain. I think he is more deserving for his own film. I think this movie should have just had Ocean Master as the main villain. You know, build up that to the climax and then be done with it, and then kind of focus on Black Manta, you know, in his own movie. So I think that was the only weak spot, but overall it was a fun movie. It was okay. It's middle of the pack for me. All right, coming in at number 3 on my list is Man of Steel, directed by Zack Snyder, released in 2013. This is the one that started it all. This is the one that started the headaches with a lot of the fanboys, because Zack Snyder was a terrible filmmaker and a terrible director, and he ruined Superman. He ruined my childhood. Whatever. I'm not the biggest hater of this film. I do have my problems with it, but overall I thought it was a great story. I loved the grounded, more kind of realistic, serious tone of the film. Not to mention the villain was great. General Zod was excellent. I thought Michael Shannon hit a massive home run with this. I loved Zod's motivations and reasonings for why he wanted to kill Kal-El, and it paid off in the end, because when they came together, you really understood the pain behind Superman of having to do what he had to do by break his neck like that. It was terrible, you know, having to go against your code like that, but you know you have to. You know, it was remarkable, man, and I got behind it really fast, and I thought it was very nicely built up. I did think the movie missed a little bit of Superman's true essence, you know, from the comics and, you know, the history and stuff like that. But I mean, it was a little bit too dark and bland at times. But overall, it was a pretty enjoyable movie for me. I loved the beginning scenes with Jor-El and General Zod on Krypton. I wish they would have explored more of that, but I get it. They had to move on to the contemporary storyline for the sake of building up his character. But either way, it's a decent film. It's middle of the pack for me as well, and I still enjoy it going back to watch it. So let's move on. All right, coming in at number 2 on my list is Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, released in 2017, starring Gal Gadot as Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman. Now, here's the pros on this. Great story. Another solid character-driven story, getting to know this woman and her backstory. I loved it. I loved the writing, the look, the feel. It was great. It expands upon that message of empowering women and showing that women can be badasses too, and they can't be held back by anything. You know, it was a good message to send for little girls of future generations, and I really liked that Patty Jenkins explored that. You know, it doesn't always have to be big, brute, strong men. You know, women have just as big as a fight as men do. So that was great. I loved how they capitalized on that. You know, and I loved the storyline with Steve Trevor, although I did think it was a little bit too in your face at times, but still, they had really good chemistry. It was a good story. And their team, too. I love the team that they built. They had really good chemistry. The camaraderie between them was awesome. Felt like a good team-up film, and I had a really good time enjoying it. My only complaint with this movie is the ending and the villain. I did not like the climax. The villain was very weak. It was very poorly built up. I did not care for Ares. I thought it was just a throwaway villain. I thought another villain could have been used more properly in his place. I just didn't like the way they built up to it, and it was a really big miss for me. But overall, it wasn't enough to kill this movie for me. There's still a lot I love about this movie. It's a very well put together story, and I think it helped set DC on the right track. And coming in at number 1 on my list is Shazam, the most recent DC film. I enjoyed this film a lot, man, and I just did a review on it, which you could find in our videos if you search in playlist movie reviews. I'm not going to talk too much just for that reason, but I mean, some quick bullet points. It's a movie with a really good message about family, and it's a solid story. I love the chemistry with Billy Batts and Freddie Freeman. Zachary Levi did a fantastic job as Shazam. The tone and look and feel of this movie was very well done. I love the story. The villain was a little bit weak at times, but I still think the backstory on the villain was really well done, and I think it led up to a really great climax. And overall, I had a lot of fun with this film. It was very funny. I wasn't expecting it to be this funny, but I enjoyed it, you know, so I think it's DC's best work so far, and I can't wait to see how they expand on this. All right, well, that's going to do it. That's my list of the 7 DCEU films. Like I said, I think they're on the right track, and I hope they keep expanding on this, because what they started with Wonder Woman into Aquaman and into Shazam, I think those 3 films are a good step in the right direction, so hopefully they can keep expanding on that. So only time will tell. But once again, I'm Zach from the Indie Rundown. This has been another rankings video. Don't forget to follow us everywhere. Subscribe if you like this video. Hit that like button. Let us know your rankings, man. Post your rankings in the comments. Send me a message. Send me an email. I don't care. You can find me anywhere. But yeah, I'm Zach. We're out.
Be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram @The Indie Rundown, and like our Facebook page, The Indie Rundown Podcast.